Good evening, I'm Sierra Bettens. Welcome to APTN National News Weekend. The first Indigenous candidate to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada is ending their campaign. Mi'kmaq Member of Parliament Jaime Baptiste made history last week when he announced his leadership bid. If he had won, he would have become the first Indigenous Prime Minister of Canada. On Thursday, Baptiste released a statement saying he believed the best way forward to advance reconciliation, protect the environment, and to address the wealth gap is to endorse Mark Carney. Under the Liberal leadership contest rules, a non-refundable payment of $50,000 was due Thursday. There are now 5 candidates still in the leadership race, including frontrunners Carney and Chrystia Freeland. To Manitoba now, where Long Plain First Nations Kyra Wilson has been elected as the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs' new Grand Chief, winning over half the total votes on the first ballot. Tears of joy erupted from the crowd as Kyra Wilson was elected the next Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. The 38-year-old former chief of Long Plain First Nation won the by-election on Wednesday with 37 out of 61 votes. The 3 other candidates in the running were Bava Dillon, Leroy Constant, and Glenn Hudson.
Let's put our hands together for the Chiefs and Assembly coming together to vote in Kyra Wilson today.
The by-election was prompted by the death of Grand Chief Kathy Merrick in September 2024. Royal Lake Chief Betsy Kennedy stepped in as acting Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. In the past, Wilson worked closely with Merrick on the campaign to search the Prairie Green landfill for the remains of 2 Indigenous women.
I had a really great connection with our late Grand Chief, and she was a strong leader, and I want to be able to honor, that legacy that she left behind at the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, and I still feel connected, to her and the work that we were able to do together.
Wilson says she plans to tackle many issues as Grand Chief, including housing, healthcare, and accessibility in northern communities.
Some of the accessibility issues in some of our northern communities, I know that has been brought up several times regarding whether it's all-weather roads, some of the transportation means that communities have to deal with. So those are some of the things that I definitely want to take a look at.
She'll also serve as an advocate for economic reconciliation.
Our nations deserve the best, and they deserve the same opportunities as everybody else. So I want to be able to talk to our different levels of government when we talk about economic reconciliation.
As Grand Chief, Wilson will act as a voice for First Nations in Manitoba across multiple levels of government. She plans to take a collaborative approach informed by community voices.
I want to work together. I want to be able to support our nations, and I intend on doing that. So it's my hope that all the levels of government want to have a collaborative approach.
Now a sworn-in Grand Chief, she thanks those who helped her along the way.
Everyone has been so supportive, and I'm just so honored to be in this position. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for that support.
Concerns around one of Winnipeg's oldest neighborhoods have been heating up in recent weeks. Point Douglas has seen eviction notices target the city's most vulnerable, while potential housing units have been lost to fires. And we're now learning more about how the city plans to develop the area. Intern reporter Veronica Blackhawk has more.
We need more homes for our women and for our children to be safe. There should be more safe spaces for our women. There's hardly any resources out near Winnipeg.
Barb Gamond shares her concerns following a string of fires in the neighborhood and eviction notices at the Manwin Hotel earlier this month.
We never want to displace anybody. And I want to reiterate, and Councillor Eady had mentioned, is we need more affordable and deeply affordable units.
But the city, we don't have money to buy that land. We don't even have money to buy new parks.
City councillors Ross Eady and Vivian Santos are doing what they can to develop the Point Douglas neighborhood while working with community members in the process. The pair have an understanding of the area, pointing out underlying issues that need to be addressed in addition to the lack of housing. They aim to work with private owners who have the neighborhood's best interest and its residents at heart.
What used to be the Brown and Rutherford lumber yard and facility, there's somebody who owns it. They want to turn that into housing for artists and also have some commercial offerings for people to live and work and be a part of the community.
The development plan reopens for public engagement this spring and rears its completion in autumn of 2025, when councillors will vote in the secondary plan as a bylaw. At its core, community members agree that problems need to be approached in a holistic manner, providing work, education, and cultural programs to those in need of direction.
Somebody mentioned they need more programs, like keep them occupied. Somebody was mentioning that to me the other day. Like more, I don't know, sharing circles and life skills and stuff like that.
In the meantime, former Manwin residents struggle to find new housing accommodations.
A lot of work needs to be done, and that's what we need to hear from them. The homeless or people on the streets, and everyone deserves a good home and to be loved.
I'm Veronica Blackhawk with APTN News.
Thanks, Veronica. What's in a name? Well, according to Alaskans, a lot. That's because newly elected United States President Donald Trump is getting rid of a traditional name of a beloved feature of the Alaskan landscape. He now plans to replace it with that of a former U.S. president. As Sarah Connors tells us, the new name is being met with a lot of resistance from those within the state. Here's that story.
And we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
President Trump made a lot of promises during his inauguration address last week, including renaming this mountain in south central Alaska. Its name is Denali, which means the high one or the great one in Athabascan. At more than 20,000 feet, it's the highest mountain peak in North America. But Trump vowed to ditch Denali's traditional name for Mount McKinley, a name that honors William McKinley, the 25th U.S. president. McKinley, who is from Ohio, never set foot in Alaska.
President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman.
That name change is rubbing many Alaskans the wrong way. A prospector called Denali Mount McKinley in 1896. That name became official in 1915. It was changed back to its original name by President Barack Obama in 2015.
I think it's just so messed up, and obviously I'm fully against it.
Josephine Jones is an Alaskan tribal member and cultural advocate. She feels Trump is disregarding a name that is sacred to the Dena'ina people.
Deep down, I really think that the whole change was not done for the Dena'ina at all. I don't even think the president even knows who we are or cares.
The name change is even receiving pushback from Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski. She said in a statement, "You can't improve upon the name that Alaskans, Koyukon Athabascans bestowed on North America's tallest peak, Denali, the Great One. This is an issue that should not be relitigated." As President Trump has the authority to change federal geographical names within the U.S., legislation is currently being drafted to change Denali's name on federal maps and administrative policy. But none of that matters to Jones. She says she'll continue to call Denali by what she feels is its rightful name.
You know, and again, it's just a name in the end, but it is a recognition of our people.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
We have to take a quick break, but when we return, a new study is giving insight into the challenges Indigenous students face during post-secondary education. Welcome back. A new study highlights the challenges and supports for Indigenous students embarking on their post-secondary education. It's titled Creating a Sense of Belonging. Researchers at Algoma University and Sault Ste. Marie and the University of Toronto authored the study. And as APTN's Mike McDonald reports, it's aimed at identifying supports to improve access to education.
The study surveyed Indigenous students at Sault Ste. Marie's Algoma University. Dr. Rose Cameron, an associate professor with Algoma's School of Social Work, says the post-secondary experience can be challenging for students who have to venture far from their home community to go to school.
The sense of disconnection maybe, and also the loneliness as well sometimes they talked about. And of course the overall support that you would get from family was not here, so now they had to sort of navigate their space and try and find those supports here locally for themselves.
Social and financial barriers were the focus of the study. At Algoma University, the Shingwak Anishinaabe Students Association provides a variety of supports for Indigenous students.
They're in demand. They're in high demand. This past year, we've had an influx of students come to us for emergency support. So, and for us, we have some support that we give to our students, some assistance for monetary, for groceries, or for whatever they need.
Half of the participants that we interviewed had children. 2 to 3 dependents, and I think a lot of them actually really wanted to see a childcare nearby or within the university as well to really support them as young mothers to try and complete their studies.
Supports in place at Algoma include the Anishinaabe Academic Resource Center, which offers culturally affirming events including powwows, sharing circles, elder visits, and feasts. The Shingwak Anishinaabe Students Association provides a safe space specifically for the university's Indigenous students.
We have laptops available for loan, and we've also created the Elders Room, and inside of there we've added children's toys and books so that this way students with their children can feel comfortable to come in and everybody can study and everybody can do their work and the children don't have to be constantly hushed. We want this to be safe for everybody and everybody that's supporting them.
You know, it is definitely gives you that warm, welcoming, and that safe, protected environment that you need, that you just know that it's your own space. So that's very important for myself and other students, knowing that you can come here to socialize, do your work, do what you got to do, or just clear your head.
The Creating a Sense of Belonging study shows many students fear losing their connection to family and culture when they leave home. Dr. Cameron recommends that education institutes fund resource centers to support Indigenous students from an academic and social standpoint. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Sault Ste. Marie.
The Invictus Games was started by Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in 2014, and this year, Vancouver and Whistler will be hosting. Wounded war veterans will be competing in various sports, and the medals were unveiled at a press conference this week. APTN's Tina House was there and has this story.
You are all Invictus. Never stop fighting and do all you can to lift up everyone around you.
On February the 8th, the Invictus Games will descend upon Vancouver Whistler, where hundreds of war veterans from around the world will compete in 11 sports. And today, they unveiled the medals that feature an Indigenous design by Levi Nelson.
Yeah, so we have the ancestral eye, or the eye of the creator, here in the middle. This is the segment of a war paddle, and it has the cross hatching. The triangular design here and the wave at the bottom you'll find in our traditional wool blankets, sometimes in baskets, but rarely. And of course the I am, which is the slogan of the Invictus Games.
CEO Scott Moore says the 4 host First Nations will play an essential role.
Part of what you'll see over the next 9 days is the full integration of the visual identity that was developed for the Games by the 4 host nations that we're working with. We're so proud of this visual identity and so proud of the look and feel of these medals. They're simply gorgeous. You'll see competitors who are on their healing journey. Their performances are not high-level Olympic performances, but they are striving to do their best and to heal.
Canadian war veteran Patrick Levis served 30 years in the military and suffers from PTSD from a deployment in Afghanistan, and he's also a cancer survivor.
When I underwent surgery, I woke up from surgery with a disability, mobility disability, which I thought that was the end of my life because sports had always been important, and I was scared. I didn't know what I would be able to do with this disability.
It was after rehab that he found out about the Invictus Games.
I said, I gotta compete. I need this to push myself to get better and to prove myself that, or to find my identity again.
After competing at the Invictus Games in 2022, Patrick Levis won 4 gold medals, 1 silver, and 1 bronze.
So going out into the world will be awarded to soldiers and the competitors in the games, and I think to have my design around their necks and also the traditional designs of my ancestral artists is paramount.
The opening ceremonies for the Invictus Games is February the 8th and closes February the 16th. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
We have to take another break, but when we return, we'll bring you to the most comprehensive exhibition of contemporary and traditional beadwork art ever seen. Welcome back. It's the most comprehensive exhibition of contemporary and traditional beadwork art ever seen. It's called Radical Stitch, and as Angel Moore reports, the exhibition has come to the Atlantic region.
Mel Beaulieu is from the Metapanagog Mi'kmaq Nation. They are the artist on residence and says beadwork brings spirit to the gallery.
I definitely think beadwork's alive. I think that with all the time we spend with it and all the history that goes into it and the passing down of knowledge, it's like I've said, beadwork is community.
It's happening inside the Beaverbrook Art Gallery in Fredericton, New Brunswick. The Radical Stitch exhibit displays traditional beading, wearable art, and contemporary pieces. The exhibit begins with the recreation of a 19th century Mi'kmaq coat.
I've loved taking certain motifs that are found on certain pieces of the jacket and incorporating them in my own beadwork. And there's something really special about community motifs that are shared by all of us.
Beaulieu's piece, called The Matriarchs, is down the hall towards the contemporary area, beaded based on a photo of their grandmother and great-grandmother to honor the 2 women who inspired them to become an artist.
I grew up living with my grandmother. She was an oil painter, and her studio was outside my bedroom. So I would fall asleep with the bedroom door open and get to hear her humming and painting and the smell of the turpentine, and I always felt really safe and really loved.
Adam Clowater Gaeta is from Fredericton and says the exhibit is not only beautiful but educational.
And I feel that the more that I can learn, right, the more that I can know, the more education that I have, it broadens my scope.
The Matriarchs drew Clowater Gaeta to the exhibit because Beaulieu is one of his favorite artists.
The composition, the expression, the meticulous, you can tell it took a long time, and it really reflects the title.
Beaulieu is glad people enjoy their work.
Often with my work, especially work surrounding my family, I want to portray that sense of calm, that sense of feeling safe, that sense of community, and I think beadwork is all about community when it boils down to it. And so when people can feel that and they can feel that love, that's really all that matters to me.
Guests of the gallery can visit Beaulieu in the gallery studio.
I've had a lot of really fulfilling conversations, and also had a lot of people learn new things. A lot of discussions about trade routes and beads and history and antique beads, which are something that I really love and have a passion for collecting. So getting to share that with people is always exciting.
Beaulieu's current project is beading the panes of a church window, which is expected to take about 4 years. Radical Stitch is at the Beaverbrook Art Gallery until March 2nd, 2025. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Thanks, Angel. Now to Alberta, where the Art Gallery of Grand Prairie is hosting what's called the Faceless Doll Project. People from all around the community created little dolls to honor those children lost at the former site of the Kamloops Residential School. APTN's Chris Stewart was also there and brings us this report.
About 30 people were on hand last Thursday to make faceless dolls from scratch to be a part of the Faceless Doll Project. A project started in 2021 after knowledge keeper Loretta Peranto English heard about the finding of 215 potential unmarked graves at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in BC.
When I heard that, I felt so sad, like I was so sad because I could almost feel that sadness of not having a chance to be heard or, to be alive or stay alive.
As a child, she had been given dolls to play with that did not have a face.
Years ago, when they'd make little dolls for Indigenous, we've gone through a lot of names, but Indigenous children, they wouldn't put a face on the doll. And a lot of times that display signified a presence.
And the idea to create faceless dolls was born to honor those 215 children with 215 faceless dolls.
Just thinking back to all the dolls that I had, and I was thinking, okay, what should I do? So one evening I just cut out a little doll, then I sewed it together and then I stuffed it. And I don't know, I just kind of felt so kind of like alive, this little doll.
She teamed up with longtime friend Natasha Okimau from the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. They needed a lot of dolls and went to elders, schools, and the community to ask them to make dolls and teach about residential school history. As a residential school and 60 Scoop survivor, Loretta is the perfect storyteller for the project.
Her and I would go and do our little presentations. We'd talk about the history of residential school, the impact, and she would tell the story of her dolls that her father had made for her that were faceless, because her teaching that she had received that when we put a face on an object is that we're giving it a soul. So none of her dolls had faces, and so that way it's not keeping a spirit here.
17-year-old Métis student Bella Houle made a doll for the project.
It was definitely interesting to find out about the culture behind the faceless dolls and why they're faceless. I definitely think that was something that I think lots of people should know.
This night was the first time Loretta was able to see the display at the art gallery. She and her granddaughter walked along the many faceless dolls, each one unique. And she spotted her doll, the first one she made, the one that started the Faceless Doll Project. It will run until February 16th at the art gallery and will move to its permanent home in the traditional healing garden at the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
That's all the time we have for today. Merci for joining us, and we'll see you soon.